You have been learning physics, but what is the foundation of physics? Why physics is valid, correct, something we should believe? Okay, the one layer below the physics, there is a philosophy, and you need to understand the philosophy, basic things at least. I made 3 videos. The first video is called Materialism and Idealism. And let's go through the basic of philosophy related to physics. The full course of philosophy you can take in a college philosophy course, but here we pick up only what is needed to learn the physics and science. So the science is founded on scientific method, and the beginning of scientific method is probably Galileo. What happened is they had a lot of observation made about planet movement, and from that planet movement the hypothesis was made. Copernicus, couple other scientists made a hypothesis, and the hypothesis is kind of was just the observation record. They probably think maybe sun is not in the center of the universe, and they make further observation and agreement. Agreement is, well, if you assume the sun is not center of universe, instead of going around the sun, then you can predict even the movement of planet, and that's kind of agreement by observation. And everybody agree as long as you can observe. Okay, and now comes the deeper understanding. The deeper understanding is this model. Earth is going around the sun. The why is that is so. Deeper understanding is going through the modeling and discover the gravity. And gravity is the basic physics law, and that helps human to understand why planets are moving as they observe. Okay, so they can make even more precise prediction of the movement. Okay, prediction this time is not something you can easily observe, but prediction was finally observed by the advance of the equipment, observation technique, and exactly as predicted, it's verified. This is a scientific method, and that's our physics are based on this, and our engineering based on physics. So physics is based on scientific method. Why is this scientific method is so important? Where it's come from? Well, actually, you need to have a foundation in philosophy. So what is philosophy? The philosophy is hypothesis, and its hypothesis means the philosophy is not science. Why it's not science? Well, there is a general consensus about how the things goes, but verification is not quantified. The science need precise agreement by quantifying the parameters. So in a sense, the psychology is at the borderline of science and what you believe. There is a certain quantified parameters to agree on psychology area, and also astronomy too. Astronomy, you need the quantity to agree on. Otherwise, it's going to be just a hypothesis like Big Bang, and multiverse kind of things, just hypothesis. Okay, that's a philosophy area. For example, multiverse, it's not science, it's just a philosophy. One group of people believe that, but there's no way to verify it. If there's no way to verify it, it's just stay hypothesis. Okay, and verification require quantified parameters. And philosophy can consider something that science cannot address. Okay, so philosophy is even broader. How the things goes, like ancient Chinese philosopher said, everything change, nothing stays still. That's a philosophy. Okay, where's no quantity to verify, there's nothing to for people to agree on. It's just hypothesis. Okay, that's philosophy. And when I say the science and the physics are based on this kind of philosophy, it sounds a little bit shaky, but here is the hypothesis is very important. Without this hypothesis consideration, you cannot justify science, physics. Okay. Now, before science, what existed is mostly in the Europe, idealism. Idealism, as Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. He was thinking about nature and the human ideas. And if human doesn't think, this nothing start. So the first things to be thinking. So the thinking is the base of everything. Okay, and that time idealism was accepted because science hasn't started, and also the science for the brain wasn't that advanced. But historically, idealism dominated human philosophy. This because of the support from powerful religious system and organization. Okay, one thing everybody agreed is God. But God is, you cannot touch, smell, hear, see, but exists in people's mind. They seem to agree, not always, but some said God thinks this way and God said this. Some people said, no, God didn't think that way. God doesn't say that. Well, they kind of argue forever about what God thinks. But God is in the human mind. And the human think about God, so God exists. That's the idealism method. We have human brain science, the advanced well over that stage, and we know idealism is obsolete. Okay, what we do is materialism, and that's the base of the science. There are several issues with idealism. For example, an amputated person feels the existence of the amputated limb. Okay, the one guy lost one leg, but keep complaining about pain coming from the leg. It doesn't exist. Okay, so this is a common phenomena. So the guy thinks leg is there, but it's not. Okay, and brain lives with the senses. For example, dog has a 50% word in smell. Without smell, the word 50% disappear. Cat the same way. When you show the mirror to the cat see another cat on the other side, but cat doesn't think it's cat. You know why? Because it doesn't smell like a cat. It's something else. Just like when they drink water in a pond, They see the surface of water, they see their reflection, and they don't think the cats live in the water because it doesn't smell like a cat. It's just strange nature phenomena for cats. The dog same way. Dog without smell, their world, part of their world disappear. Okay, the brain need the senses. Brain lives with senses. Smell, taste, the touch, and hear and see. Bat lives in the world of ultrasonic world, and dolphin too. They don't use much on the eye, but they detect ultrasonic world. And ultrasonic world create a world for them, 3D world probably. That's only human guessing it, but we don't know exactly how it's like to live in the ultrasonic world. Okay, so brain is closely related to senses. So what humans think is the deeply affected by its sense. Blind people, for example, you know the famous story, the elephant and the blind people. There are 3 blind people went to touch the elephant. One touched the nose, and he said, "Oh, elephant is something long like horse." One blind person touched the ear, and he said, "Elephant is something flat." And the one blind person go touch the leg and said, "Oh, elephant is like a tree trunk." Okay, so they have a 3 different perception of the elephant, and what they think is only partially correct. It's not real the nature. The scientists need to come in, put together, and guess the shape of the animal. And once scientists make a drawing of the animal based on what 3 people said, totally different things, then the real things emerge. It looks like an elephant. So scientists guess maybe they went to touch elephant. Then verification. They send another blind person to the back of the elephant and let it touch the tail. Then blind person said, "Well, elephant is like a string." Well, as predicted, right? So animal lives within its ecosystem, thinking it's the product of ecosystem. Thinking is ecosystem, product of ecosystem. There is one kid's story about frog went out of that pond, went to meadow, saw the cow, and it came back and told fish, "Well, I saw very strange things. It's pretty big, has milk producing bug at the bottom." Kind of description. The fish emerging, the animal is like a big fish with milk producing bag at the bottom, kind of things. Okay, so that's a fish perception, the thinking. Okay, because they live in the water, they can't think of the animal like cow. So that's another way to describe how the thinking depends on the ecosystem, senses, and thinking is not real. So here's other physics. You have to know this. See, Einstein's relativity theory allow 2 observers to see totally different things, even time ticking different speed. They disagree on the event, or they disagree on the length of the stick. They disagree on everything. Okay? So observer has its own observation, and they disagree. But how can you make the theory out of it. The foundation of Einstein's theory is that every observer has same physics law. So even they observe different things, it's perfectly according to the physics law. So there's no conflict. Okay, each observer has its own physics law, but they are exactly same physics law. And this is the realization of materialism. Something exists in nature regardless human's observation. Doesn't matter what human brain think, something exists. Okay? And that is Einstein's materialism. And this is a solid base of physics and science, because something out there exists which is consistent to every human. Human may perceive different way, but the nature is single things. Okay? So two frames, Einstein called frames, observers, has a single identical physics system. So they are the same nature. It's just a different perception, depend on how you observe. So Einstein's theory actually proved it for gravity force. Based on this relativity theory, we open up the new understanding of gravity. And Einstein predicted many things based on this theory, and they were confirmed. The scientific method worked exactly the way it is. Okay? So observation only is not a science. Okay? Science does not come out from the nature. Human mind creates science. Human mind creates science, but the scientific law exists in nature regardless of human mind. So we need to talk about how human advanced understanding of nature is called process of recognition. And recognition need one more crucial understanding on the physics, which is called dialectic. Okay, so here you have to know that if you believe in God, it's your choice, but it's completely against science. The science doesn't accept the God. Okay, God created human, God created whatever. They are all non-scientific. Science is based on materialism. Means material exists out there regardless of human thinking. The human thinking's job is to observe and understand and try to figure out what's out there. The initial understanding of gravity is a very good step, but Einstein's deepened that understanding of gravity. It's not just the Newton's gravity, it has more story behind it. So science is more complicated, the nature is more complicated, the human observation and hypothesis is limited, but human is surely making advance in understanding nature. And this understanding process of recognition, require one more understanding of philosophy called dialectic. Okay, so if you're interested in this subject, please look at the second video.